T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. The podcast where the topics may vary because, hey, we play it by ear. And now your hosts, Eric Fiskus, Brady Liming, and Todd Griffin.
Episode City. City. Call it City. Call it Fitty. This is City.
Citizens.
LX is what I put on the episode title in great Super Bowl style.
Large extra.
Large extra, that's right. Episode 60 of the Play It By Ear podcast. Welcome one, welcome all. 6 in the room thus far. Please check in. And our first check-in, Savannah Brown. I will mention Savannah here shortly. Savannah, our very newest Earbud Hall of Famer. And I will,
thank you, Savannah.
Go into a little bit more detail on that momentarily. Howard's in the house.
Hello, Howard. Howard.
Welcome, Johnny.
Hello, Johnny. Hello, Howard again.
There's Treva. Sorry, I hit the wrong.
Oh, okay. Hello, Treva.
Wrong continuum here. Miss Wilson.
Hello, Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson.
Yes. All right. The room will continue to fill up, I'm sure. Sabrina with us just joined in.
Howdy.
You're welcome. All right. Once again, episode 60 of the Play By Ear podcast. Want to bring attention to our website. I'm on the wrong part of the screen now. I can point to visit our website, www.playbyearpodcast.com, and you can register for email updates on our show, and that is right on actually on top of every page on the website. You can make those registrations, and you can get again updates on anything we might send out. We send calendar invites to these tapings. We send reminders on when our audio is released, which is generally 3 a.m. on Friday morning. And I just randomly chose 3 a.m. because people go to work early, and it'll be there for when they go to work on Friday morning. Seems to be working out okay, so that's kind of where it'll be. But
until they get the out loud notification at 3 a.m.
Yeah. Please set your notifications to silent so that notification doesn't come through and wake you up. Mr. Heron, welcome.
Hello. Hello, sir.
All right. So if you've not been with us before, we all come to the table with a topic, and we talk 20-ish minutes on each topic, and more on the ish and less on the 20. As we always say, it kind of gives a little bit of a structure to the show, but not so structured that we are constricted.
Nothing.
I hate to be constricted. Yes, we cannot be contained. Alright, so with that, we are in order on the screen as we will be giving our topics. I will be first, Brady in the middle, and Todd will round it out this evening. And I'm trying to find my clock app. I'm struggling with that. There it is. Okay. Timer, podcast, 20 minutes. Okay. So, I'm starting out episode 60 with a, and we text these things back and forth about possible topic ideas. and we generally will just give a line and say topic ? And the others will say yes, no. I mean, generally it's yes. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever shot down a topic, really. We just kind of shoot these things back and forth, and then that's about the end of the discussion, because, again, we want to play it by ear, and that's what we do here. But anywho, my topic was one that I shot out on a text about 2 weeks ago, I think. And it's one really near and dear to my heart, because I am partial to 70s rock, pop. In this case, our topic being story songs. And I say 70s because it seems like the 70s, although we have story songs in many different decades, eras, 70s seem to be the key point as to where those story songs seem to occur. So I have a list. We'll kind of look around on the list. I won't give you the list in top 10, top 20 order. We'll just kind of bounce around on it, because honestly, I don't know some of these songs. So, like I said, we'll kind of bounce around and we'll talk about them as we go along. Sorry, technical difficulty there. Back to the list. Okay, I will again kind of bounce around on this list. Todd and Brady can chime in. Obviously, the audience, we welcome what you have to say as well, because you may know some of these songs, and maybe I'll throw some of these out here. And the first one on this list, and I think this is the top 20, but I honestly have never heard of this song. I'm not a Pink Floyd fan, and it's called Shine On You, Crazy Diamond. I don't know that.
I know the song, but I didn't know it was a story. I guess I
don't think yeah.
Okay,
I just haven't paid enough attention.
Well, I'll read the description here. Okay, it says the song is a tribute to one of the original Pink Floyd members, Syd Barrett. If you look closely at the title of the song, you'll see it spells out his first name, S-Y-D. Barrett was Pink Floyd's lead guitarist, penned the majority of their early hits. However, he began to have issues with mental health and was removed from the band in 1968, only 3 years after the band was founded. So I guess I don't know the lyrics to the song. I guess that kind of tells a story about his mental health issues there. So
maybe
again, I don't know the song.
Maybe I can, while you're working on some of these, I can pull up some lyrics so we can investigate further.
That works. Okay. Number 2 on this list is one. I love this song because, again, I'm a history guy. Not that this was necessarily a key historical event, but I think it's one that people know because of the song. The song brought attention to it, and I think in a certain area of the country it was a fairly large historical event, and that was Gordon Lightfoot's great hit, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
What makes one...
You guys are laughing about a shipwreck here.
It's not the shipwreck. It's the fact that... What makes one put that into a song? Like, what makes... And then... But yet not even have it sound like a song. Like, not try to even disguise that it is a boring-ass story about a shipwreck. You know what I mean? Like, I love the song too, but I don't know why. There's nothing musical about it. There's nothing... it's just...
It's like
a history teacher
hit on Indian Drive.
Well, and I guess the thing about it is too, it's not like there's a surprise at the end of the song, because what happens is in the title of the song.
True.
The ship's gonna wreck.
You mean Aquaman doesn't save it in the hidden verse?
Maybe so. I don't know.
I mean, you don't. Nobody made a song out of the Titanic disaster. I mean,
Celine Dion doesn't count.
It just seems like a weird. And again, I love this. It's a guilty pleasure of mine as well. But it's not like you can dance to it. You can't even tap your foot to it. You can't. There's nothing you can do to it but just sit there and get edumacated. That's all you can do.
Well, you can kind of sway.
I can't name another Gordon. I assume all of his songs sound that way for some reason. I don't know why. He may have a great catalog, but I just assume that all of his songs.
you better take care. Isn't that
Oh, that's
Gordon
him?
Lightfoot?
Yes, that's Gordon Lightfoot. Sundown is Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, I said ship down. I was bleeding my topic
Sundown.
there.
Sundown. Ship down.
Surely he wouldn't have written
Ship-
two songs
Ship
about
is
ship.
down.
So Eric, real quick, just to back up, I won't read all the lyrics, but when you "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond," when you start looking at the lyrics, definitely it starts out. Remember when you were young, you shone like the sun. Shine on you, crazy diamond. Now there's a look in your eyes like black holes in the sky. You were caught in the crossfire of childhood and stardom, blown on the steel breeze. Come on, your target for a faraway laughter. Come on, you stranger, you legend, you martyr, and shine. So when you start reading it, you can definitely tell that they're talking about someone.
A
Right.
loss.
How sneaky of them, though, to use his
Yeah.
initials to.
And I don't know if we have any Floyd fans here in the room, if they were aware of that or not. Again, I've never even heard the song, so I can't really say. But
Did
they
you listen
hide
to
that
it?
No, I didn't even listen to it.
I'm
I
guessing
guess
when
maybe I'll listen to it after the show.
Yeah, I'm thinking you've probably heard it.
Dream
Yeah,
Theater did a cover of it on one of their live albums, like a bit of it. But like I said, I'm kind of familiar, but not super familiar.
So the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, back to that real quickly. Shipwreck happened in 1975 on Lake Superior. Now, Gordon Lightfoot is Canadian, and most of Lake Superior is in Canada by border. So, I mean, that maybe kind of, I don't know where exactly in Canada he was from. Maybe it was around his area where he lived, and he thought that was something he wanted to write about. So it
There you
did
go.
well for him.
So I've always wondered if Lake Superior is Lake Superior, then all the other lakes, are they lake inferiors?
Inferior
Lake
1,
Mediocre is
Inferior
right in
2,
between them.
3, and 4. Yeah, well, I guess. But I've never been up that way. They say it's rather impressive as far as what the song talks about in November. Some of those storms can be really intense. So, and I've read some history on the shipwreck, and it is a really interesting story of the ship and how it came to rest on that shoal there. And you should read up on it if you haven't. But most of it is shoal.
I like that word, shoal.
Shoal. I'll
But,
be standing on the shoal.
I mean, the song doesn't deviate from the history of it. I mean, it's pretty much in there. But now we don't know if the cook actually said to the guys on the ship, "Nice to know you. It's been nice knowing you." And maybe he did. He thought they were going down.
From the ship
Maybe.
falling down of the big lake they call Gitchigummy.
Now, Gitchigumi, there's one thing. I back up on that. There's a Bugs Bunny cartoon that talks about Lake Gitchigumi, but I didn't know Gitchigumi was Lake Superior until this.
We read-
I heard
We
this
read
song.
Hiawatha. We read Hiawatha our freshman year. It's from the shores of Gitchigumi.
Well,
It's like
yeah,
the opening
but I did-
stanza. Miss
Yeah,
Wilson
but I-
could pine on this.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was Lake Superior.
I didn't either.
Well, there you go.
This is a great line, though. The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound when the wave broke over the railing. And every man knew as the captain
You have
did
to say
too.
it like that. Really?
And every man knew as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. That's a great line. That's awesome.
And anytime you can throw the word "twas" in any song that's not a Christmas carol,
Yeah.
you're doing well.
I'm a little bit disappointed he didn't put twixt in there though.
Now,
The shoal and the steel.
Twixt, twas, and
he could have had the trifecta. If you can throw the word "air" into a song that's not a hymn, you've done it. Someone needs to do that.
Yes.
Twixt, "twas," and "air." Now, those three songs, if you can put those into a pop song, that's a guaranteed greatest hit right there.
yeah.
It is.
All right, moving on. Again, one I didn't really consider a story song necessarily. It's "Stairway to Heaven."
Very Tolkien-esque, but it tells the story. I'm going to put that on the sidebar, though. I'm not going to get picky here, but yes, it tells a story, but I like my story songs with a little bit more of a, well, it is the lady we all know, but that's about it. That's about your only identification. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's rather general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it tells a story about a greedy woman who is unnaturally optimistic about her very unpromising future. You know, whatever
Deep.
that means. Very deep. Okay, a few comments here. Miss Wilson said the Edmund Fitzgerald first song she thought of. That if you're probably going to, I'm surprised it wasn't number one on that list. Aside from the Pink Floyd song, but that I'd never heard. Cats in the Cradle. We have, and that I'm sure that's on there somewhere. We haven't gone down the list yet. And Miss Wilson, you have to leave Pink Floyd because of mental problems seems ironic. I agreed. Mr. Heron, Shine On is a great late night drinking song.
As is the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Can I give you an example of a story song? Why I don't think Stairway to Heaven is, but here's what I got in mind, and I know it's not going to be on a list, so it's okay. So I'm not going to. There won't be any spoilers. But when I think of the ultimate story song, I think of this song. Oh my God! My mom grew up on 50s and 60s music, so it was a song called Patches.
I knew you were going to go
You
here.
knew I was going there.
Is it about a cat?
No, Patches haunts me to this day. It's like those 40s, 50s archetypes that don't exist anymore. Where there was a boy from the right side of the tracks, and he fell in love with an Appalachian girl whose father worked in the coal mine up in the hills, and she was pretty Patches. Her name was Patches. And when they were seeing each other, and when his snooty family found out that they were seeing each other, she drowned herself in the river. In the last line of the song is Pretty Patches, I'll be coming to your funeral. And I'm like, what kind of song is this? A, it has a name, it tells a story. But good God, if you think that Edmund Fitzgerald is a dark song, Patches, good Lord.
Well,
So Brady is haunted by Patches like I'm haunted like Nestor the Christmas donkey.
Yeah.
And Todd, Patches is by, and I think you'll be surprised by this, Clarence Carter.
really?
What? Get
Yes.
out.
Clarence Carter. Clarence Carter. Clarence Carter. Yes, Clarence Carter.
OPC's Clarence Carter.
I
I think Clarence Carter did it originally, though.
He did the chart song. I don't know if that was a remake, but the one
He
that got on
charted?
the charts did. Yeah,
that's funny. That sounds funny. Anyway,
he charted.
speaking of Patches,
It's sequel watches.
I don't really want to try to come up with so many songs because they might be on your list, but that reminded me of another story song that I wonder if it'll be on your list, and that is a little Hazard by Richard Marx. Is that on your list?
Well, you say it, and
I'm sorry.
I'll search the list here.
Okay.
Like I said, we're not tied to this. It's
Yeah,
just
it's a story song when you think about it. I mean, it's a story of
well, and I don't know if it's on this particular list. I'm still scrolling. It's not on this particular list, but there were other lists that I looked at before we went on. I did see Hazard on one of them, so yeah,
now.
that would qualify to some.
You know, Richard Marx is one of those Twitter accounts that I try to pick fights with, and he won't fight back with me. But other than that, he had great songs.
I want to throw this out there. I just looked at the lyrics, the Clarence Carter song, and it is called Patches, but it's a different Patches.
Oh, different.
There is no girl that
Gotcha.
flings herself in the river.
Oh, gotcha. My bad.
So the idea of for those of you that do not know Hazard by Richard Marx, I'm guessing. I mean, it's been a while since I've heard it, but isn't it? He's kind of infatuated with a girl, right? And they
Yeah.
spend some time together, and she
Yeah.
ends up being found dead.
Yes,
Correct?
correct.
And he's basically, which the refrain says, I swear I left her by the river. He's saying that the last time he saw her, she was alive, and they were hanging out by the river, or is he confessing?
I guess that's the question. I really can't say.
I think he is falsely accused. He kind of alludes to the fact where everybody thought the kid's not right, and you know he's what do you call it? he's framed by circumstantial evidence. Wrong
Well,
place, wrong time.
Yeah, because no one understood what I felt for Mary. No one cared until the night she went out walking all alone and never came home. Men with a badge came knocking next morning. Here I was surrounded by 1,000 fingers suddenly pointed right at me. I swear I left her by the river. I swear I left her safe and sound. I need to make it to the river and leave this old Nebraska town. See, I always thought the song was about Hazard, Kentucky.
So did I.
I didn't know it was Hazard, Nebraska.
Is there a Hazard, Nebraska?
Apparently so, but because I think I've told the story on here about me and my cousin and I seeing a severed foot in the middle of the road in Hazard. We swear to this day it was a severed foot, not in a shoe, just a 1 foot laying underneath an overpass, like under an overpass. So I don't know if Johnny's chimed in tonight, but if he is, he can back that up. We didn't go back and look, but we swear to this day it was a foot.
Oh man, that's creepy.
That is creepy. All right, moving on. Not a fan of this next gentleman here, but I have heard of this song, and it's a rather famous song, Hurricane by Bob Dylan, about Hurricane Carter the boxer. Like I said, very prominent song as far as story songs go and songs in general. I guess people are generally familiar with that.
I would definitely have to look up the lyrics for that because I couldn't get them by listening to Bob Dylan sing it.
Well, that's true. Next song on this list, and again, this is one I don't know necessarily, but Eminem's song "Stan."
Yeah.
Yeah, about a crazed stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
A young man named Stan who became obsessed with the rapper, copying his look, confessing to harming himself, and eventually recording his suicide.
Now that I didn't know he did that. I remember the song and video, but I don't think I ever followed the lyrics to the end of the song.
Yeah. All right, next song, and I really like this song. The band, however, seems to be a controversial band in that it's very divisive as far as people love them, people hate them, and I'm not sure why people would hate them. They just seem to be rather ordinary. But Coldplay and the song "Viva La Vida."
I did not. I'm a fan of the band, and I didn't even realize that was a story song.
A retelling of the French Revolution and the death of King Louis XIV. Or 16th,
Okay.
excuse me.
Okay. Never put it together. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to rule the world, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Apologizing to the people, accepting his eternal fate, and all that.
Yeah.
Now, I knew it was a story. I didn't know it was that story, but, I mean, it does...
Is there something... Can we subcategorize some of these in that some of them are not so much a story or like a linear beginning to end story, but some of them are we confusing some that are just based on actual events or based on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it's based on an event, Sunday Bloody Sunday, U2. I mean, is that a story song or is it just a song about
an event?
An event.
I get you. Well,
Or is it like the old-time troubadours that used to sing about historical events, and that's how you passed history?
yeah. Can I doubt this is going to be on the list, but like the one that comes to mind as a story song is the the Billy, don't be a hero.
Well, yeah, that and there are a couple like that because I kind of led the segment in. And by the way, Gary, welcome Gary Troutman. He asked what the topic of the segment is here. It's great story songs is the topic. And we probably should do that every kind of get to the middle of a segment, re-announce because people come in and leave and whatever. But yeah, we're looking at great story songs here, and I opened up the segment talking about the 70s because I think that was a real key point in the history of story songs, and that was one that came right to my mind. Billy, don't be a hero. Don't be a fool with your life. You know, you're going to go off to war and get yourself killed. And,
yeah.
You know, but it's not on the list here that I'm looking at. I'm sure it's on some list somewhere because, again, I'm in agreement with you. I think it should be rather high on any list. Cause
my mom just put in she texted me a great story song, but This might be on the list, though. Am I
Well, what
allowed
is
to
it?
say
Sure.
Ode to Billy Joe.
Ode to Billy Joe.
About a jumps off the Tallahatchie Bridge.
Yeah.
And that was on a 70s made-for-TV movie based on the song.
Yeah. Again, not on this particular list, but I'm familiar with it, and I think it would qualify as far as I know.
Sabrina Parker? Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to put on these comments here. Matt Young with us, and he is true in his statement. Every song created and written by the Silver Fox. God rest his soul, Kenny Rogers.
Coward of
Correct.
the County?
Yes.
Ruben James?
What about songs like? I'm trying to think. Like Last Kiss.
Oh, that's yeah.
Pearl Jam remade it, but I can't remember who did. Tommy James originally? Who originally did Last Kiss?
Possibly. Don't remember that.
But there were a lot of songs in that era about that were story songs. I don't know if they were true. I'm sure they were like Dead Man's Curve and
Sloop John B by the Beach Boys.
the whole idea of these tragic teenage demise, songs
Like Patches.
from the 50s.
Right.
Yeah, I assume they were all based on stories. I mean,
Yeah. So Miss Wilson here, ever the teacher, used hazard to teach why you shouldn't trust first-person point of view. If you look at it, she was supposed to be by herself, but he says he left her by the river.
yeah. See, awesome point, Miss Wilson. Because I was thinking, I couldn't remember but I remembered it was a deal where it was almost like he was confessing in his. You know what I mean? Like his defense, his alibi, or him saying he left her was kind of him saying that he was guilty. So I never thought about using it as a point of view. Granted, I don't think that would fly in 4th grade, but
Probably not. All right, Sabrina with the Harper Valley PTA, absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Outstanding 70s story song there, and actually spawned into a TV show starring I Dream of Jeannie's Barbara Eden in the title role in Harper Valley PTA. All right, Miss Wilson, a few others, In the Ghetto by the Elvi, and 110 Soldier. Now, I'm going to tell a story about this song. I don't know if my wife is currently watching, but we were discussing, of all things, church camp once, a while back. And she says, we sang these songs in church camp, and she rattles off some religious songs, and she says, we sang this song called 110 Soldier. I said, what? 110 Soldier at church camp? Now, I'm going to read you the lyrics here, if you're not aware. So, okay, here's the chorus. Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat a friend. Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing come the judgment day. On the bloody morning after, 110 Soldier rides away. I mean, does that sound religious to you?
Uplifting.
is that one of those songs? And I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here, but is that one of those songs where just because it has religious vocabulary in it, that it's all of a sudden lumped into a religious song as a Springsteen-esque, as in Born in the USA? Yet
it could be.
They play
Just because it mentions heaven, we're going to sing it at church camp.
I mean, they blast Born in the USA during fireworks displays and all kinds of things, but it's kind of an anti-USA song when you listen to it. So it's like one of those deals where people are fooled by the,
By the
lyrics without actually thinking about the con. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you listen to the entire song and look at all the lyrics, it's actually more of a, for lack of a better term, a communist sort of song. I mean, it's kind of anti-military and just an odd song to be singing at church camp. I guess that's all I'll say about it. But but I guess it was the early '80s. Maybe some of these people were 60s, whatever.
I had an ultimate story song pop into my head. For real,
What
the
you got?
night the lights went out in Georgia.
Oh yes, great.
Yes. Well, and I've got several more here from
Vicki
the others
Lawrence?
in the audience. Yes, Vicki Lawrence of Carol Brunette Show fame and Mama's Family. Miss Wilson, Ohio by Crosby, Stills, and Nash about the Kent State shootings. Absolutely one of the more popular story songs there. And Gary asking if I was referencing Patches by Dickie Lee, and I think that's the one Brady was referring to there.
Yeah.
I was talking about the one by Clarence Carter. I mean, who knew there were two songs named Patches? I just assumed the one by Clarence Carter.
What I read Dickie Lee as when I first looked at that.
Probably best you don't.
My gosh.
You're blushing, Todd. That's unusual.
I'll text you guys. Go ahead.
Howard Wood. Convoy.
We got a great big convoy trucking through the night.
By
Man,
C.W. McCall.
This has grown more than I when you first sent that text, I'm thinking I don't know a whole lot of story songs, but now that we're mentioning some of these, I think this could go on for days. One that just came to my head, One by Metallica. I mean, the whole,
right.
I think it's based off of a movie, Johnny Get Your Gun.
Or
Yeah.
Johnny Get Your Gun.
Yeah,
Like
and
that.
the whole idea is this guy who's been injured by a landmine.
That's on a landmine.
And he reminded me when he said Convoy. I don't know why it reminded me, but what is the song by? Was it Johnny Cash? The song about the guy building his car with parts he stole from his job. I bet Howard would know it. Is it called One Piece at a Time? Like he tells a story of how he steals his entire car, like bringing it home in his lunchbox and things like that. He steals pieces from his factory job and builds a car. I think it's called One Piece at a Time. If anybody's listening and knows the song I'm talking about.
One piece at a time, sweet Jesus.
Not that
Not
one.
that one, right?
He's probably mad at the car, be like, one piece at a time, sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus.
Then it ain't working.
Sabrina, the devil went down to Georgia. Yes. Chuck Daniels firing up the fiddle. Matt says he knows a guy who creates limericks. If someone hums in the background, they become musical and tell stories. We may know a guy like that.
And true stories too, right?
About people from Fincastle.
Or Peru.
Savannah, Teddy Bear by Red Sovine. I know Red Sovine. I don't know that particular song. Anybody know Teddy Bear?
This just popped into my head, and I swear I did right down left. The Pina Colada song.
Oh, absolutely. That again, 70s story song.
Yeah.
And that one, let's talk about that one for a moment. Would you be pissed if you're the wife or the husband or the boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever this little relationship is supposed to be, or would you laugh about it like the song says? I don't think people be laughing about that.
If it was written today, it would be an R&B song with a rap or house beat, and it would be about they made Tinder accounts, and they both swiped, and they showed up, and they found out it was, the same person. It was their significant other. That would be the modern twist on that.
So if you're younger in the room and not familiar with the classic Escape, the Pina Colada song, the gist of it is, back in the olden days, you wrote personals in the newspaper, and people looked at the personal ads, and they tried to find dates using those personal ads in the newspaper. So Rupert Holmes, I'm assuming, I don't know if this is anti-biographical or not, or autobiographical, not anti-biographical. The antithesis of biography. No, I don't know. He puts a personal ad in the paper, and basically it says if you like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, if you're stuck in yoga, all these things. And this lady answers the ad, and it turns out it's his girlfriend or his wife or whoever. And then the song ends up there just kind of laughing about, ha 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 ha. We don't.
Cheating on each other.
Yeah, we're cheating on each other. We don't communicate. How funny. No, I don't think it ends up like that. I'm guessing.
This just came to my head. How about every... Well, I was going to say every Meatloaf song, but I guess Steinman. Every Jim Steinman / Meatloaf song is a story song, pretty much.
True.
The one I had in mind... The one I had in mind that's not as well known to most people probably, but great story song. It's just not the same story. It's like 3 different mini stories, and that is Objects in the Rearview Mirror May Appear Closer Than They Are. It's a fantastic story song, and again, but it's 3 different points in his life. He's reminiscing about 3 different points in his life. So I guess it is a bit linear as far as it's all about him, but it's...
Well, and Howard puts up probably the most famous of those Jim Steinman Meatloaf songs, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, complete with Yankees baseball play-by-play in the middle of the song, which is a nice touch.
I don't think that, this is a little bit off topic, but I don't think that Steinman gets the credit he deserves for his lyrics, for his writing.
But could he have, I mean, he tried to go off by himself and do a solo album, and that crashed and burned.
Well,
could he have written for anyone other than Meatloaf?
Well...
It's like why Bernie Taupin doesn't have an album, you know?
He wrote for Celine Dion. She had one big hit that he wrote. But that's what I mean, though. I mean, but just the writing, just the lyrics, the flowing like the metal on the edge of a knife. I mean, that's just perfect. You know, it's perfectly written, perfectly. Yeah. Someone who can look at a knife and say, "Boy, the metal is really flowing on the edge of that." It's just to think that way.
Well, wait a minute. It's glowing, isn't it? Not flowing.
Flowing, I think, isn't it?
I think it's glowing.
We have. Okay, you probably are right. I've convinced myself that flowing makes sense. Now I got to recondition my brain to think that glowing makes sense.
And for years I thought of it as edge of the night instead of knife. But that never made sense. But
well, I believe he is, and I'm assuming here, of course, but I believe he is gazing upon the sight by the dashboard light, as you know what they're doing in the car. And he's saying it's glowing
sense,
like the metal on the edge of a knife.
Ah, man, I kind of like flowing better now. I took it as flowing, as in things are going. Things are going well. Like because at that point in the song, things are going well, things are flowing.
Until she said, "Tell me you love me," then it kind of hit a bump.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me sleep old head.
That's perfect. It's a great one.
All right, a few more from the audience.
We karaoke'd that one time at the bowling alley in Batavia. It was a hoot.
Sabrina Parker, Cupid's Chokehold. That's her input. I don't know that song either. But Mr. Heron, I Got It One Piece at a Time. So I guess you know that Johnny Cash song. Yeah. That's the name of the song. I Got It One Piece at a Time. All right. Sabrina says a lot of Christmas carols are story songs. True. Very true. Yes, and Gary does say it sounds like a tender moment. The Pina Colada song, I'm assuming you're referring to there. Miss Wilson, a couple songs that people think are religious because of certain lyrics are Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And Sarah McLaughlin's In the Arms of an Angel. That's correct.
I've never paid attention to the Arms of an Angel to know, to dig deeper on it, but I know that Hallelujah is not a very religious song.
No. All right, so I could go through the rest on this list. I'm going to hit some key ones here. American Pie, Don McLean. Now that, and I don't know if that needs a little bit of a discussion as to, he's telling a story about his perception of events, I think. It's kind of a historical, in the vein of Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire sort of thing. Just kind of listing things off that happened that caused the music to die, so to speak.
Not necessarily. He's talking about the same day. I mean, he's talking about...
Well, true. He's talking about the plane wreck.
Yeah, one event. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's... Now, this is a Don McLean quote about the song. He said, I saw the implication of America going bye-bye since by 1971 we were a horribly divided country with tremendous anger being directed at the government over the Vietnam War. Now, if you remove over the Vietnam War, we could be talking about 2021 for that matter, but interesting, that's how he came to this song, because America was divided. That's kind of what channeled that. I wouldn't have thought that would have channeled this particular song, but now that I read that, it makes sense, I guess. All right, one that's a little bit more, and I say a little bit more recent, versus 1987, but Luca by Suzanne Vega, talking about a child that was being abused. My name is Luca. I live on the second floor.
Yeah. Is that the song that? It's not the song that was like controversial, was it? It got removed from the radio and stuff, or got? I think I'm thinking of a different song.
I don't remember that one being removed. Do you, Brady? Brady's laggy. Brady gone. All right. And I'm going to stop the show here. Hello from Poland, Celia. Welcome.
Hello.
We are now truly international. Thank you. Cool. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if this is your first time here, but welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. And please feel free to chime in on what we're talking about. And we'll wait for Brady to come back. But I don't remember Luca being taken off the radio for me. It was rather a jarring song. Of course, again, it's about child abuse and people hearing things going on in the apartment above, and kind of Luca telling his story about what's happening to him. But certainly was a bit controversial, let's say. Brady's back.
Brady missed it. We had someone from Poland chime in.
Yes. Now he seems frozen.
Frozen.
Frozen. A little choppy, but and we'll go on down the list here. The Devil went down to Georgia, which we mentioned.
Chamberlain.
Here's another one. 1976, Take the Money and Run by Steve Miller's band.
Yep.
Billy Joe and Bobby Sue.
Oh, that brings up another one. It has to be on your list, Jack and Diane.
That is a good call, and it is on the list here at number 19. Tells the story of two young high schoolers' romantic escapades while discussing their hopes and dreams for their future lives.
By eating chili dogs.
Outside the Tasty Freeze. All right, so here's another one, and I don't know where this falls exactly.
One of the
story
worst
songs
lines ever, though.
Sucking on chili dogs. I can't say that I've ever consumed a chili dog in that fashion.
It's easy to choke that way.
I would think. Brady gone again. So Gary says Tom's Diner tells a great story, also by Suzanne Vega, correct. Sabrina Lay Me Down, Bonnie and Clyde-esque robbery and getaway, correct. And, Miss Wilson agrees Jack and Diane was a little ditty about Jack and Diane. Yes. This list says Thriller is a story song.
See, this is making me think that you could almost argue that any song is a story song.
Well, yeah.
But
and we kind of talked about that before we went on the air, just briefly about, okay, what's a story song? They all tell a story, but to me, it's kind of, and that's why I kind of led in with the 70s stuff, because those 70s story songs had a beginning, middle, and end, and the whole, it was like a sitcom within a song. The whole problem was solved by the end of the song, and you knew what was being done and all that, and how the story was dealt with. How
about if we're stick to Michael here for a second? Dirty Diana and Billie Jean.
Yeah. Billie Jean, I certainly would think would fall more so into that than Thriller, to me. Yeah. I mean, Billie Jean's pregnant with a child that Michael says is not his. So, I mean, who knows? 15 here on this list, 18 in Life by Skid Row.
Oh, great song.
Yes, that is a great song.
Oh, sorry. Everyone you say reminds me of another one. How about Uncle Tom's Cabin? Warrant.
Correct.
I was actually thinking that when Brady mentioned Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, because for some reason those songs always, there's similarities between them that always made me, I don't know. I guess they both happen at nighttime.
All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You by Heart, 1990. So yeah, this is a song about an older woman who has a night of passion with a hitchhiker she picked up.
One Night of Love.
Yes, so the woman leaves the hotel room she shared with the hitchhiker with what she intended a pregnancy, something that the man she was really in love with was unable to give her. So I had not read that much into the lyrics. That is
Really?
shocking to me.
Yes,
I knew she was like with this guy that I'd seen like a one night stand sort of thing. I didn't know there was more to it.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did so to get pregnant, didn't she?
Yeah.
Because the classic line that tells it, let me find it here real quick. I said, please, please understand, I'm in love with another man, and what he couldn't give me was the one little thing that you can. So she's saying that, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I do remember that lyric. I guess I was just too obtuse to know what little thing she was talking about there. I just assumed it was kind of love or whatever, but...
well, no, I mean, I'm a huge Heart fan, but that song is one of the cheesier. This because of lines like this. I told him, I am the flower, you are the seed. We walked in the garden, we planted a tree. That's terrible.
It is pretty bad. All right.
Sammy Hagar would write.
Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. Again, probably if you were to make a Mount Rushmore of story songs, I think that probably would be on it, in my opinion.
Harry Chapin? What were we looking at there on Brady's camera? Like there's Brady,
know.
but a minute ago we were zoomed into something. I don't know what it was.
I think he went from his Chromebook to his phone. I think that's what we've done here.
That's what I did.
I thought it was Brady's lower back tattoo. I thought it was a tramp stamp we were looking at.
Yeah.
All right. Last few on the list here, Jack and Diane we talked about. And the last song on this particular list, Tracy Chapman's Fast Car.
Good song, great song.
Folks rock song about a poverty-stricken woman who has high optimistic hopes for her life when she is driving fast in the car with a man she meets. But as time goes on and their lives do not improve, she realizes that she is just repeating the same cycle of life that her mother did, but she can always fondly remember driving fast in that car.
Yeah, there is a newer band out called the Black Pumas. Fantastic. Their debut album is awesome from beginning to end, and they do a remake of that song. It's really good, so you guys should check out Black Pumas.
Yeah, interesting.
So I will also make mention again of Cats in the Cradle, because one of these lists I looked at did not say Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin, which I thought was absolute sacrilege.
Ugly Kid Joe?
Ugly Kid Joe. Sacrilege.
That is.
If you quote that song on a list such as this and say it's Ugly Kid Joe instead of Harry Chapin, your list has no credence with me.
Yeah,
But it does have Clearwater and Revival.
Exactly.
Brady, I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you heard this or not, but earlier when you said The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, instantly in my head I thought of Uncle Tom's Cabin from Warrant.
Oh, yeah, that's a great story song. Very good.
A lot of... We could get into the whole 80s hair metal. There's a lot of story songs there. I mean...
Yep.
Oh, yeah. But none of them are like Patches.
Ballad of Jane.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Fly High Michelle
Yep.
by Enough's Enough.
Yep. All right. A
Brady,
few
I
more
think
from
he
the
also
audience.
mentioned, Eric said on his list, 18 in Life by Skid Row.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Hare and Alice's Diner played every Thanksgiving. Correct. Howard William with The Streak.
Look at that.
And they call him The Streak.
Or all of his songs.
Yeah.
Right.
The Day the Squirrel Went Berserk. That's the only song you'll find about a squirrel going berserk in a
Correct.
church.
Miss Wilson with Delilah by Tom Jones. Also Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie.
Arlo Guthrie.
Yeah. Don't Look Ethel. I don't know that one.
The
All right, that's in the song.
Yeah.
It's in the streak. Yeah. Okay,
Don't
gotcha.
look, Ethel.
Gotcha.
But it was too late.
Yeah, she corrected Mr. Heron with Alice's Restaurant, not Alice's Diner. But yeah, good discussion on story songs there. And I'm like Todd, I didn't expect it to take off like that. But again, people mention things, and you think, well, yeah, that makes sense, and reminds me of this one, or reminds me of that one.
I think to make it more concise, we would need to define, like you said, we would need to define story song. Does it have to have somebody's name in it? Does it have to be talking about an actual event? There's all kinds of parameters there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you could almost say any song is a story song.
True.
Right. Well, again, you go back to, and Brady mentioned it. Now it flew out of my ear. The one that was not on the list that definitely should have been. Brady, what was that you mentioned?
Was it Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia? Billy, Don't Be a Hero.
Yeah. Billy, Don't Be a Hero. Yes.
Yeah.
So that song had Billy, telling his significant other, "I'm coming back from war. I'm going to marry you." Went off to war, died in war, and significant other found out about it, and there was a beginning of the story, a middle of the story, and end of the story. The whole thing was compact within the song. It's not, hey, I'm going to wait and see if this happens or that happens. I mean, we get the whole story in the song itself. So I don't know how you make rules for that without being very wordy like I just was, but that would be my definition. Some of these other things that were on this list didn't really qualify, in my opinion. Anywho. All right, before we move into topic number 2 with Brady, we want to talk about our memberships. Memberships support our work on the podcast. For more information, go to Brady and Todd, if you would point it out, www.playbyyourpodcast.com/support.
Oh,
Yes.
wrong one. Man, this way. Wrong way. This way.
There we go.
Gosh.
I know. It's like backing up a boat, man.
Got it.
All right, so I'll have you look at the support page on our website. There it is. And you can see that we have added a name to our Earbud Hall of Fame we mentioned earlier. Welcome our newest Earbud Hall of Famer, Savannah Brown, who has become a member of our podcast. She's there on our list of Hall of Famers. And I did a little tweaking on that page, put a little shading on the letters and things, and tweak. And we also thank our other members that are listed there, Joe Rocky, Christina Rocky, Chuck Griffin, Allison Chavis, and Jessica Longacre. We thank all of them for their support of our podcast here, and we appreciate it.
Put those back up there, Eric. We need to read them Gordon Lightfoot style.
Go ahead.
Joe Rocky, Christina Rocky, Chuck Griffin, Allison Chavis, and Jessica.
Don't go toward the rail.
Very, very well done. Very crooner-esque. Thank you.
I guess it does have kind of an ebb and flow. That song does the da 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 da. But the second one is da da. Has to come in lower.
Yeah, the audience came in with a couple others here at the end of the topic. The Ballad of the Green Beret, says Savannah. That's a good one as well.
Good one.
And Allison, welcome Allison. In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. And I guess it does tell a story. I never really thought about it, but I guess it could qualify.
I've read the 500-page autobiography by Phil Collins, and it's actually, it is not what the urban legend says, but it's still a story song.
Right. Okay, we are looking at topic number 2. Brady, in honor of your birthday.
Can we just yell them out for 20 minutes?
Yeah. Get off my lawn!
Take it away, Brady.
All right.
Yellow.
Yeah.
So, I hit a milestone birthday yesterday, and I hit the 50. I think Eric had an accident.
I did have an accident.
You spilt?
I spilt all over
I
myself.
say I heard the distinct. I'm deaf as all get out, but that was the exact sound that ice makes when it hits a surface.
Well, there was no ice. It was
He's
just
no ice.
bottle.
He's drinking out of a bottle. Yeah, but I heard something
Okay.
sizzle.
But
But,
lucky I didn't cuss.
Did I hear some fizz?
You heard me going.
Oh, I thought it was pop fizz.
But
Now I'm having that not so fresh feeling.
well, speaking of getting old, but no, I had a milestone birthday yesterday, and I turned 50. And
50.
people keep on asking me, it's like, well, what's it like? How does it feel to turn 50? How does it feel to turn 50? And I didn't have a good answer. It's like, well, I've only been in it less than 24 hours, but as according to what the topic is saying, it is very much. Sorry, I'm gonna plug in my device here. But yeah, there's things that just suck about getting old, and you guys could probably agree with me. It doesn't start at 50. I think you could start
40.
feeling. I was gonna say, I think you can start feeling yourself kind of age in your late 20s, because you can't do what you did when you were 13 and 14. It's small little things, like, it's time and probably indescribable now. But I do want to say that, do I feel different? Not really. This is not prune juice in my cup. I'm not freebasing Metamucil.
I think some of it also just comes into like each individual person, because with me I noticed it at 40, but then again I was in better physical condition through my 30s than I was my 20s, so I think it has a lot to do with it as well too, like wherever you are in your
But and I think there are people that are old souls. Like I have one of my students is like a little old man, and he's like in 5th grade, and he has very little old man habits, and it's kind of funny. So I'm hoping he does the Benjamin Button thing, But anyway,
Eric, you want to throw a prune juice joke out there, Eric. You want to.
I do.
The man mentioned prune juice and mentioned old souls. Go ahead, Eric.
We have been saying that Brady needs to drink his prune juice since he was probably 16.
I'm the man that needs my sleep.
And he's more of a morning person than the others of us.
Yes.
I've never been a morning person. Todd, I don't know where you fall in all that. Probably maybe a better morning person than I am. But
I never used to be, but
I am a morning person. I'm not busting down the gate to get to Bill Knapp's for the blue light special, But for the uninitiated, Bill Knapp's was a restaurant that catered to our seasoned citizens more than. I actually was given a gift card there when I was in my 20s, and I was horrified because I swear to God, like there was 8 people in oxygen tanks, and I made the joke before I went, and it was kind of true. It was scary.
Where was Bill Knapp's?
It is where IHOP is now.
In
At
Beachmont.
Beachmont, yeah.
Gotcha.
But go ahead, Eric.
So can I chime in here? Then this is one of those things. Was it this morning that I texted this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the reason why I texted this, and I'll give a personal example here. So, and I can't give you the age as to when it happened necessarily, but for whatever reason, hair started growing out of my ears.
Yeah, nobody tells you about that when you're younger.
No, they don't. And I had the little, clipper tool, and I'm thinking, well, I think maybe I looked down at my phone and there was a notification stuff. I get notifications on my phone. I'd forget to take off of my phone. It was notifying me about Brady's birthday on Facebook. Said, he turned 50, and I'm, shaving hair out of my ears. Man, it sucks getting old, and that's why I texted those two to say, what about
The
this
Weed
for a topic?
Whacker on manscaped.com. Highly recommend it. It's German engineering.
But it's never ending.
New and improved
again,
German engineering.
I don't know how this goes with you two, but with me it's never and it just appears. Like I like trimmed it today, and tomorrow it'll be this long coming out my ears. And like, how's that happen?
You'll braid each one and look like a Pollyanna rope coming out of each ear, like a braided ear hairs, like a Swiss Miss.
Now they say that your ears never stop growing. It's the one part of your body that never stops growing.
Really?
So maybe that has to do with the hair. I don't know. But.
Well, and like my wife and my son or whoever, they'll be behind me, like inspecting. Like, gosh, Dad, the back of your ears are. I'm like, well, I can't see them back there. I mean, how am I supposed to groom what I can't see? If it's bothering you guys so much, then you shore it off.
Or on the same note, eyebrows. Like, I'll be washing my hands at school, and I'll look up at the mirror, and some eyebrows going like this. And like, well,
yeah,
where'd that go?
Like Leonid Brezhnev.
Exactly.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you know,
Google some photos of Leonid Brezhnev. Yeah, that's exactly it.
I mean, you got your nose hair, you got your eyebrow hair and stuff, but at least you can see that. It might sneak up on you because you're not focused on it, but the stuff you can't see your ear hair.
No.
So at any given point, you could have a just giant ear bush, and nobody even. I mean, you're none the wiser.
I knew you were going to say it, and I still laughed.
I'm choking. Oh my gosh.
Oh, now if you want to have a good laugh, I'm gonna put some comments up here.
Oh my.
Howard, Brady, just remember age is relative. When your relatives are old, then you are too, which is correct. Mr. Heron, if it's mind over matter, if you don't mind, it don't matter. And Howard chimes in on Bill Knapp's, a.k.a. Heaven's Waiting Room.
If I remember right, I did have to wait a while.
Miss Wilson, when I was eating breakfast with my still active 88-year-old mother, she looked at me and said, "I'm getting old." I said, "Why do you say that?" She replied, "Charlotte, who is Miss Wilson's oldest sibling, is turning 70 this year, so you are old when your oldest child hits 70.
Wow.
I think there's something to that as well, Miss Wilson. Like, even because and there's no secret that I'm a little younger than the two of you, and actually most of my core group of friends I'm a little younger than. And I don't feel younger because we've just been friends for so long, but I do, as you guys age, it definitely makes me feel old. So I think there's something to be said about you gauge how old you feel. You know, in her case, she's talking about her children, which we do the same thing. I mean, you know,
Right.
even my kid's 14 and 16, and it still makes me feel old. But I guess what I'm saying is you guys turning 50 definitely makes me feel old.
Don't say you guys.
You
Yins.
guys. You.
Brady turned 50, so 2/3 of this show is still in its 40s.
What do we got
Hey.
till September, Eric?
Yes.
That's yours? Yeah, we got a ways.
I will just say, they could put this on my gravestone. I swear, if this exists, I swear I never saw it, but I'm going to claim it as my own because it just popped into my head. Here's my quote. Nobody stops the time except Morris Day when he says cut.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
So anyway, but I got to laughing. I eavesdropped on a conversation that somebody I kind of had said. It said, "Man, the older I get, I never poop solid anymore." If that is the case, why were we led to believe that we needed Metamucil and prune juice? If that is indeed the case,
Because it's all about the American diet has changed so drastically for the worse. Because back when that stuff about prune juice and all that became legend, I mean, people ate better.
good gosh,
And
choking down a glass of prune juice. What you ate better be darn well worth it.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean. It doesn't matter whether you're. I mean, if you're 25 or 85, you down a sack of White Castles. You're not going to need any prune juice or Metamucil or anything like that. You're going to be.
You're gonna need a pelvic screen.
Yeah.
But
So I think it's just the American diet has
yeah,
depleted itself so bad that.
Or is it that the human body, once it reaches a certain age, the only thing it does consistently is be inconsistent. So when it comes to that particular function of the body, maybe it's either one extreme or the other.
I don't know, but like I said, people were laughing about that. It's like, well, why are they pushing, this product on older people? So anyway, just a thought. Now I will say something I noticed. Good gosh, and the only time that I feel 50 is in the morning, in the first 3 steps I take. I can honestly say that is the only time I feel old.
I'm sure you sound old too. Probably when you But if you're like me, it's the cracking.
Oh,
Yes.
The cracking.
I thought you were talking about the wailing and the moaning and the gnashing of teeth.
Well, that too.
But and I'm blessed to have kept a goodly portion of my hair, and in gentlemen, the salt and pepper look is distinguished. There's
Cinnamon
we
and
got it
sugar
easy.
for me, man.
Cinnamon and sugar.
Sure.
Spice of life.
Yes, but I don't know. Like okay. Here's probably a point where I could tell I'm aging. Is my patience for certain. Let me back up. I'm an '80s kid. I'm an '80s kid. The moment that I knew that I was getting older is when I watched The Breakfast Club, and I found myself on the principal's side more than Bender's side.
Yeah, you're.
And I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, I thought he was cool, but man, he's a jerk. It's like, what a disrespectful oaf.
But it's kind of funny because, and we've had this talk many a times, and I won't. While we're live, I won't bring up some of the catalysts, I guess, for this particular conversation. But we've talked before, like, well, when blank stops being funny to me, they might as well bury me. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm wondering
Yeah.
at what point is there going to be a time where just you reach an age and certain things you laugh about now that people look at you like you're an idiot for laughing at would just no longer be funny to you? Like our podcast, for instance. I mean, like,
Oh,
Right.
of course, I mean, my dad's 75 and he likes it. I mean,
well,
Yeah.
I don't know that he laughs, but he listens.
my dad and I had a generational humor disconnect. Like every time, like when TBS would come on, or TNT, or Turner Classic Movies, there was this Andy Griffith movie called No Time for Sergeants, and he would watch. But there's this one scene where Andy Griffith stomps his foot and salutes, like, "Yes, sir," and the toilet seat lids pop up because he stomps so hard. And my dad would bust out laughing every time. And I'm like, well, I kind of know what's going to happen here. But and it was like, haha. But I mean, he would lose it.
Maybe
Like,
Brady. Maybe that was his generation's version of toilet humor because there was a toilet in it, so that was the funny part. Maybe it wasn't even the timing of the toilet popping open; it was just the fact that there's
they
a
were
toilet.
showing a toilet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and now, of course, listen to me. We watch Dumb and Dumber and die every time.
Every time that
The Turbolax scene.
yeah. See, he probably wouldn't have cracked a smile at that, would have he?
No, he would have thought it was gross.
Yeah.
And that's not talked about, but like he would lose it at that scene. So like, at what point does our sense of humor age? Right now, my kids, well, especially Reagan, she's a freshman. Nothing I do is funny, and I was like, au contraire, I have hundreds of people that listen to us making jokes. I'm funny.
I have made literally tens of people laugh.
Tens of people.
And
I mean, this is getting down to it. We talk about that with flatulence. There's the generation above us. I don't believe is amused by them. I don't think the generation below us is amused by them as we are. But
oh no, they still laugh at it.
yeah, but not like we.
If there is a flatus in class, somebody, there's going to be laughing.
Oh, it reminds me. We had a talent show we always do a talent show the last day of school, and we had a student the other day that did armpit farts for his talent. I was so proud and impressed.
Nah.
8 years
Did you
nobody's
tell
ever
him?
done armpit. Now he was no.
I was gonna say if he put a hand into his armpit, he is not the master. End of story. There's no talent in that.
I told my homeroom the mystical tale of the no-hand duck noises.
You know,
And I was
that was
there
a
for it.
that was a relative of mine, and I don't share that skill. So
Okay, now we have to bring everyone up to speed here.
okay, yes.
So there was a guy we graduated with.
Well, first off, stop you 1 second. Everybody has done armpit fart noises. If you haven't, right now, go ahead. Nobody's watching. Go ahead and sneak your hand under your shirt. Get up there and get a grip on your armpit, and then just come down. Start out fast and choppy, and then you can kind of slow it down.
like a bird wing flapping.
Yeah, if you've never done that, go ahead and do that. We should do it on air. Brady, go ahead and do it on air. It's your birthday.
I can't. I would accept that I'm holding my camera at the moment because of my
Gotcha.
technical difficulties.
I don't know that I can get. I don't know. I haven't done one in years.
I think one's ability to do that is greatly reduced with armpit hair. I think younger kids do that much more well than older people.
I'm trying to do it right now. I did it.
Bravo.
Yeah, bravo.
Okay,
See, I'm not growing up.
So we graduated with this boy, and we're talking right now in elementary school. I'm guessing, Brady, correct me if I'm wrong, 3rd grade, 4th grade-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was the master of the armpit fart, and he worked on his craft so much that he was able to not only create the sound without the hand in the armpit, but, for lack of a better term, elongate the sound
And change
without
the
the
pitch.
hand. Yeah, and change the pitch.
Change the
So-
aridness. Is aridness
The frequency.
the frequency, the meter? I mean, he was just a
That's
he was
with an
a
R-E.
he was an
It's-
armpit fartist. He was he was the Jackson Pollock of armpit farts.
Whoa.
What happened?
Hello.
You just fell.
Sorry, I'm dropping everything.
You just flipped upside down, Brady.
An armpit fartist.
You have.
That belongs in the isms now. Brady's
He's gone. He's gone.
I think he accidentally hit his button. I don't think it was a connection situation there, but
I think what you kind of skipped over, Eric. You said it, but you didn't pause long enough. He could do it without his hand, his other hand.
right.
He only needed his wing.
And it sounded like somebody slowly strangling a duck. It would be like, and it was and the best. It was like a ventriloquist because he could throw the fart sound, and when somebody walked by, he could just do the sound, and everybody thought that there was the guilty party walking. So he was a ventriloquistic armpit fartist.
So I can't remember though. Could he do that with a shirt on, or did he have to have?
Oh
a shirt
yeah.
on?
Oh yeah,
No,
with a shirt on.
Shirt on. It was a miracle, man.
No, I mean he's not in school without a shirt on. I mean he's.
Well, I didn't know if he
in
had to
class,
take up
so-
his What I mean?
Was the
Yeah.
70s, but
Well, yeah, but
I'm sure no one is amused by this as we are, but you had to see it.
it would. It was
I
such a
think the
unique
whole-
talent.
I think the whole room's going. I don't believe it. The hell you say?
Well,
Because I personally have never seen anyone before or since that has been able to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It had
And
to
I
be.
even think he lost the ability to do it.
Well, and I'm wondering if it was certain days, like if he wore too much deodorant. If was it a was
Well,
it
this
an
would be the
armpit?
pre-deodorant days.
Was it an armpit moisture? Was it a pH imbalance? Was it? I mean, what was it?
That's what I'm saying. It was
the
lack of
cavity?
armpit
Was it-
hair.
Was it the shape of his armpit cavity?
I think that was something. There was something there, yeah.
It's kind of like a bass drum, you know. There's just more shell to make the sound. So he had a skin shell under his arm.
I just saw him here a while back at a restaurant, and he was walking up.
Did you ask him to do it?
No, I should have, though. I should have been like, for old time's sake, go ahead and let her rip.
So I guess our conversation here turned to this because that's part of what sucks about getting old. You can no longer do armpit flatulence.
No, I think it's the idea of you no longer think flatulence are funny. Will we reach an age? Maybe people that are older than us in the room can tell us, like...
I hope not.
Will we reach an age where that's no longer funny?
Well, I mean,
not.
I could think of very few things that, like, years ago I thought was funny that I don't think is still funny. Like Tom and Jerry cartoons. I still crack up. Like, I'm still there. Now, there are things that I think are funny now that I wouldn't have understood then. But the things that made me laugh back then still kind of made me laugh today. Yeah. You know, I can think of very few things that, you know, maybe some knock-knock jokes or some third-grade joke books that you got at the book fair. But,
well, and see, I think I kind of credit you guys again. I credit Yins for, you know, when my influential years hanging out with people, you know, 6 to 8 years older than me, I think maybe
corrupted. Well,
in many ways, in good ways, to where like it put me ahead of the curve as far as some of this stuff that I found funny before probably other people my age found it funny. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll last longer. I have no idea.
All right,
how about this? Here's one I've noticed. My damn teeth hurting. Just like you bite into a too crunchy piece of bacon or just something that just doesn't set right in your teeth, and just things hurt my teeth the older I get.
So, Todd, if you were to... Well, I can't say that I have very sensitive teeth. But Todd, can you bite into like a popsicle like that without...
Well, interestingly enough, I couldn't, and then I went through a spell in my life where I could, and now I can't again.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe that's a mind over matter thing as well.
Yeah.
Could be a few comments here from the audience. Mr. Hare, the worst part of growing old is your hair migrates from your head to your back.
Well, James, also, you're a guy, so you us guys deal with the anus erosion as well. The
what?
Every man's butt slides further and further down the back of his legs until it eventually you kick it off the back of your heels. And you kick it off the back of your heels and say, wish it adieu. You say goodbye forever to your anus.
Men have no butts, Brady, is what he's trying to say.
Oh.
I guarantee if you were to measure your butt, it's smaller now than it was when you were 20 or 25.
Okay, my butt, yes. I thought you were actually talking about the anus, and I was very frightened and confused.
No, I was just
because anal erosion
misusing the
like
terms.
something there'd be a
I was using
for.
I was using anus as the encompassing term for the entire package.
You were using the anus, but not the anus.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
No, Brady, it would not be a commercial in and of itself. It would be a side effect of something else that you're taking.
Don't make me talk about. Don't make me talk about anal erosion. Don't make me talk about nipple hair, Brady.
Howard, Brady being 50 is a jolt to me. I remember when he was 8-ish.
Yep.
Sabrina, you're a teacher, Mr. Liming. Your job sways your judgment about the Breakfast Club. It's still solid, but Bender was always a jerk. Just a jerk who's sometimes not so bad. Now, I'm going to throw this in here, and I've mentioned this comedian before, and maybe it's just an age thing where I've discovered him, and his stuff really hits home to me. Gary Goldman. And he has a bit about Rocky, and how he watches the movie Rocky differently as an older person than he did as a younger person. Because when he was younger, he would watch Rocky getting ready for the big match, drinking the raw eggs. And, Rock, that'll get you the protein you need now. And now as an older person, he watches that scene and says, oh, Rock, oh, that's not good for you.
Eat a protein bar.
Maybe an egg white muffin, that'll be a little bit better for you. So yeah, about the perspective changing. So yeah, Howard says the one-armed armpit flatulence is an act for America's Got Talent.
He would have been a finalist for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Miss Wilson said there are some people who are expert gleekers too.
Oh, are we
now,
talking?
gleek, it would be the spittle coming out of your like that.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I thought that was the monkey from the Wonder Twins.
that's my gleek sound.
Is that what you're talking about, Brady?
I can't gleek. Isn't it gleek? Isn't that I mean, that doesn't happen accidentally, does it?
No, I thought Gleek. No, in Super Friends, the Wonder Twins monkey was named Gleek. I didn't know his name was named after a verb.
Well, did you ever notice anyone that gleeks is always proud of it too? They give you that like piss off, the head nod, spitting cobra, just waiting for their neck to swell out and round out. And...
Or His Holiness spitting the holy venom. Sorry, there was a meme that was really funny.
Yeah.
Miss Wilson, thank you. I have not heard that term in 25 years. Gleek.
Yes.
Yeah.
Howard William, farts are funny, says the almost 60-year-old. So
Good
there's
deal.
hope for us, gentlemen.
Yes.
In 10 years, we'll still think, well, some of us longer than 10 years, but some of us will still think that's humorous.
Just a common that I'm sure everybody talks about. I noticed things like, well, for instance, we had a 2 weeks back, I guess now, we played a show at a venue that had on the river, and it had a kind of a very difficult load in, and there was a dock situation and a ramp, and anyway, you had these carts that we loaded equipment on, and one of them got away from me going down a wooden ramp, and I went, and actually it wasn't my stuff, where I probably would have been like, well, it'll be okay, but it was the sound man, so I go running after it. I still had a hold of it, but I was trying to catch up to it, and I kind of overran it and just banged the crap out of my knee on the edge of this thing, and it was one of those like where it took your breath away, like you hit your knee so hard it took your breath away, but my knee 2 weeks later is still
swollen,
but no, it's still sore. Not sore as in like a bruise or like like the hitting it part, but like structurally. Like I was mowing the yard the other day and my knee's bouncing and it felt like any minute it could just snap out of place, and I'm like that kind of stuff getting old, like certain injuries turn into other types of, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Like you bang your knee when you're younger and your knee might hurt, so you have a bruise on it or something like that, but now it not only hurts your knee when you on impact, but it causes structural pain for the next several weeks.
One of my 5th grade students wiped out on the blacktop playing basketball. Like his foot slid, and man, he hit the pavement. And all I could do is sit there thinking that would put me in the ER and in traction for 2 weeks. It was horrible. It's like it hurt to watch. I'm like, ah!
Well, Brady, I think if you were in 5th grade, it probably would have put you in ER and traction then too, the way your knees are.
Yeah.
Do you guys do the name thing when you're trying to say someone's name? You say 4 or 5 other people's names before you say it right. Are you there yet?
Oh, you mean like, hey, Tim, whatever her name is, that kind of thing?
Yeah, my mom, we make fun of my mom because she does, but she's been doing it for 40 years. It's not just an age thing with her, but it's usually about the 4th or 5th one she gets it right with me. It's usually Donnie, Doug, Jim. Usually about there she'll finally get it. And by the way, for some backstory, my brother's Donnie. I have an uncle, her brother's Jim and Doug, so it's not like she's just random names. I mean, but I start to do that sometimes with my own. I'll call the dog's name instead of my kid's name, things like that.
Yeah.
My dad's go-to was watch call it. Everyone was watch call it, and generally you knew who watch call it was when he was describing. You know, watch call it. Oh yeah, and he'd say the name of the person. Yeah, right.
Yeah, he knew who he was talking about.
He did.
Yeah, I think the most offensive of that would be the what. You know, it should be, whom shall you be calling it? But yeah, the what you call it's like what? Yeah, that would probably bother people more than anything.
Speaking of which, I was at the gas station the other day, and I was looking down at the candy bar section.
What do you think you saw?
I was looking down at the candy bar section, and
Right next to the wall.
I'm a big fan of the whatchamacallits.
Oh, I am too.
But now there's a new one right neath the whatchamacallits called a Who's He Does It or something like that. Who's
it?
Who's
What's it?
Who's He Does It? No idea what it is. It's the same package.
Apparently they
color,
don't either.
Same
It's peanut
package
butter
color,
based.
everything, huh?
It's peanut butter based instead
Is
of
it really?
caramel. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I may or may not have had one last week.
Are they good?
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
And I'm kind of surprised that they are just now coming up with another, like a spin-off of a whatchamacallit.
A thingamabob.
Yeah, why is there no thingamabobs?
All right, a few more comments as we roll this thing out. Howard says, at 70s, farts probably have a little overspray.
Well, Howard, it depends.
See what you did there.
And you guys
Sabrina.
laughed. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's right. You chase sound equipment one day, and the next you're getting a full knee replacement.
That's what it feels like.
And John Brown, farts are hilarious, said my wife, Savannah Brown. That's why she's a Hall of Famer. She enjoys our humor. All right. I believe we rounded that one out, did we not?
We did.
If you ever wonder what we're talking about when we use certain terms,
I wonder what we're talking about sometimes.
so do I. Check out our isms on our website, www.playbyyourpodcast.com. And there is a part of the menu that says play by menu. It says play by your isms. And you can look at our Urban Dictionary-like glossary of our isms and some of the terminology we use. And you can try to figure out what the crap we're talking about here.
I think I have a new one for the isms. I was just opening up my bottle of water and I just sloshed water on my crate.
All right, Todd, you're rounding it out.
All right, so, excuse me. I am giving Eric a break tonight. Eric is usually in the third spot doing the game. And we haven't done this in a while. So I thought tonight we would do, rather than a game, we would do a little bit of AITA. And as Eric has already put there on the screen, am I the boys?
Asshole.
And so, speaking of isms, I believe asshole is on our, is it on our isms page?
It is.
Okay. So the way this works is basically there is a Reddit, a subreddit. And Eric has gone over this many times. He usually kind of takes care of this. But basically it's someone giving a story, a true story about an event in their life, and then people basically below it chime in on whether this person is in the wrong or not. Or sometimes it's somebody else in the story that is in the wrong. So I'm just going to read these. You guys can chime in, and the audience can, of course, chime in, and we can just kind of dissect them and talk about whether they are the asshole or not. So right off the bat, we have, am I the asshole for telling my not yet mother-in-law that it was my choice if and when I want kids and not hers? So here we go. Disclaimer, all the...
Check.
I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read the disclaimer. It was my boyfriend's goddaughter's first birthday over the weekend, and close family and friends were invited. It was only me, 28-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 37-year-old male, who didn't have children at the party and unmarried. My boyfriend's mother invited herself and became a center of attention with her over-the-top antics. She spelled it antiques. Her
Antiques.
her over-the-top antiques. Well, here's a nice vase. Her over-the-top antics and jokes. Don't take me wrong, she is a lovely woman, but often forgets how to behave in social situations like these, often forgetting her limits and to respect other people's boundaries. As there were other babies there, she put me in the situation where everyone was quiet for a second, and she blurted out loudly to my boyfriend and me in French, the language I'm still learning, that it is time for us to get to business while looking at me. It was so awkward that I had to leave the living room and find myself a spot on the balcony. I also chose not to respond verbally as I didn't want to be impolite. Then she followed me there and continued the same topic, but this time focusing more on if I wanted to have children. I told her I don't see myself having any anytime soon, and probably never, to which she reacted with a very judgmental, "Never?" I told her that it was my choice, and no one had a say in it, and exited another uncomfortable situation. Also, it didn't stop there. As the evening was nearing its end, the birthday girl's grandpa, with whom we and my not-yet mother-in-law are friends with, commented on the baby-making topic too. This comment crossed my boyfriend's threshold, and he asked his mother to give him a sibling, as he is the only child, and then she will get a grandchild, which was hilarious and very supportive of me. I am currently finishing my second master's degree and starting my career again in the domain that I always wanted to work in, not to mention in a foreign country, my boyfriend's home country. So basically, I'm occupied with everything, but the thought of having children anytime soon or in the next 5 years or even more, who knows? We as a couple are very aligned on what we want for us in our relationship. We believe that societal pressure to do something is not worth it. It is annoying knowing that other women, especially mother-like figures in your life, judge you in your face for making choices which aren't aligned with their expectations of being a woman. Having or not having children, or not doing what women are traditionally supposed to do, quote unquote, isn't going to make me less of a woman or of a person. I know what I want to say, but I wanted to hear what you guys want to say.
I mean, to me, there's no question here that she is not the asshole. I don't think there's any reason at all why she shouldn't have the right to say, "We'll go at our own pace on our own plan here, mother-in-law." All right.
And she needs to shut her sauce box.
Sauce box.
All right. So, not often does this happen, but I disagree with you guys.
Oh, really?
Really?
Well, I partially do. I don't think she's an asshole. I don't think there was anything wrong with her telling her mother-in-law, "Hey, we're doing things at our own pace. We don't have to have children to
Make ourselves whole."
Exactly. But I think where she's the asshole is by writing this Reddit thread. Because I don't think the mother-in-law was out of line either. She already said the mother-in-law was kind of over the top and kind of made jokes and stuff in weird situations. So that doesn't seem to be what her problem is. Her problem seems to be the mother-in-law on just 2 different occasions asking her about having a baby. What person, when they get to that certain age, doesn't do the whole like, "Hey, when am I going to get some grandchildren?" type? I don't think she was out of line by. It's not like she said, "If you don't have grandkids, you can forget about ever being in my." She just simply is saying like, "Hey, am I going to get some grandkids?" I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with her replying, "Not for a while, maybe not ever." And I also think it's generational. Like, I don't think her mother-in-law. I guess what I'm saying is I think this is much ado about nothing. I think she's making a mountain out of a molehill.
Now, I could be wrong, but it seems like what she was having a problem with was the awkward way that the woman was, like, getting down to business. I think there seemed to be references to uncomfortable imagery there.
But that's a different argument. If she has a problem with her mother-in-law being crass in front of people and embarrassing her about sex, that's a different thing. But then she talks about being alone with her on the balcony, and her mother-in-law just asks her when she's planning on having kids. Why is that awkward? You know what I mean? Like, why is that? That's a different thing than saying things in front of the crowd that's embarrassing her about sexual things. I think that she's just wanting to complain, and she has nothing to complain about. It's settled. It doesn't say like this has gone on for years, or this is how. It's just one night that her mother-in-law asked her about kids, and she says, we're not ready yet. And then she's asking, though I will say, I don't think she's necessarily an asshole for telling her mother-in-law, "Hey, none ya," or "We're not going to." But I think she's an asshole for getting on here and acting like her mother-in-law is this terrible person, for simply asking what I think a lot of mother-in-laws or mothers or fathers would say when, at a certain point in their life if they're asking about grandchildren. So maybe I'm wrong, but I tend to disagree with you guys here on the fact that the mother-in-law is out of line.
Well, now back up though. I didn't say the mother-in-law was.
True.
Because all I said was she wasn't.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right. But Yeah.
It could be a situation where no one is the asshole.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think it's one of those things where there's not an asshole in the bunch. I mean, is her mother-in-law, maybe that's just unfortunately part of being, in relationships and stuff. If one family is more kind of crass in their way of joking than another family, but as far as the whole, she seems to be complaining about two different things. She's complaining about her mother-in-law saying these things that make her uncomfortable in front of people, but then they have a private conversation on the balcony, and it almost seems like she's maybe uncomfortable with her situation, or maybe isn't quite sure what she wants to do, and she doesn't want to be questioned on it. You know what I mean?
There's also the language barrier situation that she so suddenly mentions there. If this were a English to English conversation, maybe it wouldn't be so uncomfortable, but now we got the French to English thing that she said, in her words, I'm still learning. Maybe she's not quite sure as to what mother-in-law is really saying.
Yeah, I get it.
That makes her uncomfortable.
Now, if the mother-in-law went into the crowded dinner party and starts gyrating her hips and mimicking the motion about when she says get down to business, that might be something else.
Well, but again, I think that's a different argument. If you just want to say, hey, you're crass and you're embarrassing me with the sex talk in front of people,
that is true.
That's a different argument than pressuring them to have kids. I just don't feel like the mother-in-law is pressuring her to have kids. I think she just simply asked. And again, I think that's normal. I mean, just because you ask doesn't mean you're going to disown someone or hate someone because of their choice.
That is true.
Right.
So anyway.
So Ms. Wilson agrees with Todd. She seems to be insecure about her decisions and looking for validation from the Twitter sphere. Yes. Very, very succinct on that description. So I guess we all agree there were no assholes in this.
No assholes. All right, here we go. Am I the asshole for questioning a job interviewer? I've, 19 female, been out of work for a while now. It wasn't much of an issue earlier as I'm a student and just focused on school, but I'd like to work this summer and part-time once school starts in the fall. I finally got a job interview at a chain retail establishment. The posting said it was for that specific location and said nothing about travel or different locations. It's near my house, which is perfect because due to a medical condition, I can't drive. I either Uber, take the bus, or get a ride from one of my parents. I arrived and the interview started off strong. Then the interviewer started talking about one of the responsibilities being doing inventory once a month at different locations throughout the state. I could also be assigned shifts in other locations if they are short-staffed. One is doable, as there's a bus that I could take there. The others are 45 minutes to upwards of an hour and a half away. There's no way I could get a ride that far. Uber would be too expensive, and there's no public transportation that goes that far. I mentioned that was going to be a problem and explained why. The interviewer got a little snotty and said, I have no issue going in between stores and I've never had an employee who was. I said I understood and perhaps I wasn't the right fit, but I did point out, you should put this in your job listing. I wouldn't have applied had I known this was a requirement. He repeated that he's never ever had someone say this was an issue. I said I didn't believe that was true. Even for people who drive, they're willing to drive 90 minutes each way, possibly a few days a week. If that location is short-staffed, no one has ever complained. He said no, I was the first. I thanked him for his time and left the interview, knowing that of course I didn't get the job. I was talking about this with my parents and my dad said that I was rude and I should have just let it go without harping on it. He said I ruined a good job opportunity. I pointed out even if I hadn't questioned it, there's no way I'd be able to take the job. He said that I could have figured it out and I never know who that person knows. I potentially shot myself in the foot here. Am I the asshole for questioning him? On the count of 3, can we agree? Or not?
Well, count to 3 and we'll see.
1, 2, 3. Yes. No. Man. Hey,
So
I like this. We're disagreeing.
You think she was an asshole for questioning that?
Yes, it's not her point to question how they put the ad in the. She's not in charge of their that department.
I
of their
don't.
Company. If I were interviewing for someone and they started scolding me on what I should do to my job interview or stuff like that, like her dad said, they don't know who she knows. You can't burn a bridge like that. Just say the job's not for me and walk away.
Well,
and then she called him a liar. She said, I don't believe you that no one has ever complained about it. You're saying, Eric, as a principal, if you were interviewing a teacher and they come in and started harping on you and telling you they don't believe you, that you would be okay with that?
Well, if I said, okay, I'm posting here for a teacher and say nothing about the fact, okay, by the way, you're going to be teaching here and also
In Ripley.
over in Harrison, if they're short a teacher, I would expect to be questioned on that. And someone say, hey, I didn't expect to be driving 90 minutes to another school to be teaching if they need a substitute teacher or whatever. I would not take offense to that. I'd probably say, well, you know what? You're probably right about that.
I see that. I don't know that that's apples to apples, but I see that as a good argument. I just don't know. This is a retail job. This is something we don't know that the guy was in charge of the ad. You can't put every single detail in the ad. She says that the ad didn't mention traveling, but is that something that is always in? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know.
I would say that it is.
I'm a little surprised that you guys are okay with her.
To travel.
I'm surprised you guys are okay with her calling him a liar. Again, why not just walk out of the interview and say, she said, I don't believe you. I don't believe that. That's never. I mean, that's calling him a liar.
Well, now I think again you talked about the previous one making two different arguments. I think you're making two different arguments. I don't think she's an asshole for questioning that particular thing. She may be a dumbass for saying, hey, you're a liar.
The thread is called, am I the asshole, though? I mean, we got to use the term. I mean, I agree with her dad here. I'm on her dad's side. It was very unprofessional of her. She doesn't know if she burned a bridge. She doesn't know that who this particular interviewer knows. She doesn't know. There's too many unknowns if she's wanting a job. Very simply, if there's something that you can't do, you don't argue with the job. You say, this isn't for me, thank you for your time, and you walk out. I can't imagine there's not an etiquette breach there.
Well, maybe in her mind she was thinking, you know what, I'm trying to save you all some time. If you get other people in here and you're going to spring this on them and they're going to say, no, I don't want your job, maybe you ought to advertise it a little bit better so you don't get people in here and waste their time.
Which I can agree with that if it stopped there. But, you know...
Well, but she said he got snotty, so, well, no one has ever questioned this. And so that invites snotty back to me. You know, like I said, if I were questioned on that, I'd say, well, you know what, you got a good point there.
Mucus begets mucus.
Exactly.
I don't know. I am not a believer in... She didn't gain anything at all by taking him to task about this again. And she wrote this. We don't know what was left out.
Well...
The chance
that's the way it is with all these things. I mean, we get one side of the story, not the extreme three sides of every story. But
true.
Every story has.
True.
I said we're disagreeing that, which is good for this topic. But
it is.
I am just old fashioned, I guess. I just do not. I'm with her dad here. I don't believe she gained anything. She already knew she wasn't taking the job.
I will agree. She gained nothing.
There's something. She's 19 years old. She has to learn that getting the last word doesn't gain you anything.
Well, and again, I think we're arguing assholery versus dumbassery. You know, I think you're a dumbass for questioning like you did, but I don't think you're an asshole for questioning what was in the ad and what wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she crossed over assholery when she started trying to outsmart him. You mean to tell me in 90 minutes somebody's agreed that nobody's ever had a problem with driving 90 minutes? I think she was trying to outsmart him and try to make him look foolish. Well, I think that's where she turned into an asshole.
Well, but again, what was his demeanor in saying, well, no one has ever quit? I mean, he was putting on like, hey, you're...
If he was bobbing his head like that,
giving the neck,
Like, but it's not... But she said... Well, I guess she does say... I was wondering when she says he got snotty. Yeah, so she says he got snotty when she told him she was going to have a problem with that. But...
Well, I don't think that was a good place for him to be snotty. Like, okay, you have a problem with that? Okay, we'll just part ways and move on. He's the one that went and said, well, no one's ever questioned this before, blah, blah, blah. So he invited... the response that she gave, in my opinion.
Yeah. Are we bringing you around?
No, not at all. I still think there is a profession. I am big on professionalism. I mean, as
So am I.
I just do not believe that you ever stand to gain anything by going into it's their business. It would be like going into someone's house and chewing them out for the way they decorate their house. That's their business. They can do it how they want. You have no right to go in there and
what were you thinking with this green future shag carpeting?
He may say, "Hey, we only have so many words we can put in the ad. We can't put the whole description for you. You know, that's why we do interviews to sift out what's the job is going to be."
Let me flip the professionalism argument here.
Flip it.
So
Smack it. Rub it down.
Right. Was it professional of that business to not put that piece of information in the ad? So you've invited people in to talk about the job. You've now said, okay, you're going to be driving, instead of coming to one location, now you're putting in a situation where, okay, you're going 90 minutes away. Are we paying you mileage? There's a lot of things that go into driving places.
I understand.
So now
that, Eric, but does every job that's put out there put every single description of what that person's doing? It didn't say in the job you will not be traveling. You will only be staying in one location. She just said that never mentioned traveling in the job.
Most jobs that expect you to travel, it does say must be willing to travel.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it like this. If he got snotty, he needs to work on his interviewing skills. There's no doubt about that. But I also don't think, again, it's a business. They can kind of do what they want to do, and you might not like it and don't work for them. But I don't think it's up to you to call them out on it.
I had an unprofessional interview once. It was my first year out of college, and I was interviewing for a job, and the superintendent happened to be interviewing me, and he was an unprofessional jerk. He let people come in and interrupt the interview, and there was a student that had waved going by the window, and the student was on crutches, and he said, yeah, the boy had a motorcycle accident. It's like, oh man, I've been there before. I had a dirt bike accident and ended up on crutches too. And I swear, he looks like, motorcycles? Are you some kind of hippie or something? Swear to God. And I'm like, and how do you respond to that? And I'm like, I kind of went, because I'm like,
that is unprofessional. And again, but you didn't tell him off. You didn't tell him that it was unprofessional. I mean, you just left. Yeah. You thanked them for their time or whatever. And again, I don't know that she just says he got snotty. And granted, all of these there's things missing in all of these, but you saying someone got snotty is your opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. As a father, I would side with this dad and say you should have just. You don't know how many bridges you burned. You don't know what you did there. So why tempt it? But she's 19
I think there is
too.
anal way to go around on both sides.
She's not experienced. No. I mean, I don't think that she's an asshole who doesn't deserve to have a job. I just think that she needs to mature a little bit and realize that, hey, you can't control how businesses run their business.
No, I will stand with she's not an asshole. She's a dumbass.
Yes.
Two different arguments.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Comments. We do have comments, and this is back to the previous one. Joe says, if they're in France, aren't they all assholes and are proud of it?
I like the Z. I like the use of the double Z there, Joe.
Gary, not an asshole for questioning, but seems irrelevant if previous workers minded or not. And he goes on, more of a disagreement on hiring strategy. Doesn't seem worth his time to be defensive either. They parted ways, and that is fine. And I'm fine with that as well. Sabrina, it wasted both of their time, but some managers and employers will try to pull one over on you and act like you should have known what they never put in writing. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
But I will agree to that he should not have acted like... but it didn't say that. It didn't say that he acted like she should have known, which I would definitely side with. He shouldn't... You can't assume someone knows something that's not in the writing, so I would agree to that point, definitely.
All right, Howard says, absolutely. Howard, I don't know which absolutely you're going with there, if she is absolutely an asshole or absolutely, I don't know. Tell us what you mean by absolutely. Sarah with us, super late.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Hello, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Miss Wilson agrees with the dad. I got my first job because I had a great interview in a district that the Defiant superintendent used to be a principal. They passed on my name.
Thank you, Miss Wilson. One opportunity leads to the next. You gotta.
Yeah, again, asshole versus dumbass. Dumbass, keep your mouth shut. Not an asshole for questioning.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I didn't know this was in the ad or not in the ad. That's my take anyway. And Sabrina, but if I have to rent the house, that's another thing. Maybe I missed a part of the comment. Maybe that was part of this comment. You act like you shouldn't know what they never put in writing, but if I have to rent the house, that's a different thing. So, yeah.
All right, so let's get to a couple more lighthearted ones. I think I found 2 lighthearted ones here. Here's one. Am I the asshole for shouting, I need to take an enormous SHIT on my sister's Zoom? A little bit of context. I, 19 male, my sister, 22 female, are still living with our parents because of the pandemic. My sister does Zoom meetings with her coworkers and boss.
Zoom. I thought you said her zoo.
No, my sister's Zoom.
Oh.
Zoom.
Okay, gotcha.
I went on a grocery store run when I started to feel nature's fury building up in my guts. So I finished shopping and drove home in a desperate haze, every muscle clenching the damn shut. I sprinted to the bathroom to unleash Hurricane Brown. In my rush, I tripped over the power cord of my sister's computer. She was sitting at her computer. She had mentioned earlier that she was going to be doing a Zoom call, but I completely forgot in my all-encompassing need to use the toilet. Are you okay? She asked. I need to take an enormous shit, I responded. And laughter erupted from her computer. I made it to the bathroom, and after I was finished, I came out to realize my sister was definitely on a Zoom call. Not really sure what to do, I awkwardly went to my room. She came up later and told me I'd embarrassed her and made her look unprofessional. I apologized and told her I didn't realize she was on a call, but she insisted that she told me earlier that she had a call, and besides, it's common courtesy to not shout about needing to take an SHIT. My parents and I think it's not a big deal, but my sister is annoyed at me and making the occasional rude remark. Why I might be... TA? She had told me she was on a call and why I might be the asshole. Yeah, she had told me she was on a call and I embarrassed her. I probably could have done more to apologize, and maybe it's a bigger deal than I realize, and I shouldn't think she's being petty. Am I the asshole?
Wow.
Edit and update. So I took your advice and again apologized profusely to my sister and asked if there was anything I could do to make it up to her. She forgave me, but said dinner might start to make up for it. So I took her to her favorite restaurant and we're cool again. Thanks for the help, everyone.
Aww.
Can we agree on this one?
Sis, you gotta mute the mic first of all. If you're on the Zoom meeting, you have to mute the mic until you're ready to respond.
Gotta mute the mic. That's.
But yeah, him running through the room screaming that. Yeah, I'd agree.
That I have to conduct commerce. Yeah.
I have to conduct giant commerce.
Largest deposit in the vault.
I think I don't know that this is a disagreement. I don't think he's an asshole. I think that this is probably a situation where the whole idea of people working from home and people doing the Zoom meetings has been so hard for everyone to grasp, especially youngsters, especially people just entering the age of working and things like that. Do I think it's something that probably he's 19, she's 22, they've lived at home their whole lives. He probably had yelled that 1,000 times in that exact same situation. And this is my ultimate, if you ever are in intestinal distress, if you're in that mode and you bang your knee or you bang a part of your body on something, it literally makes you like you die for a split second, like you literally. So I think that had a lot to do with it. He tripped, scared himself, almost shat himself, so he just yells out. So I can.
Well, she did ask the question, are you
Are you
okay?
okay?
He was not broadcasting said commerce until he was asked if he was okay.
He responded.
I guess
don't
a simple
ask questions
yes.
you don't want to hear.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's an asshole. I think he's young, and they're young, and it's just one of those. I sound like an old person. I'm forgiving everybody because I'm either blaming or forgiving based on I'm an ageist.
Well, I mean, in the
no.
past minute and a half, you have used the word youngster, so
Yeah.
I'd say you sound a
That
little bit old.
whippersnapper.
But I think it's.
And
I
him
think it's
about
more.
ready to soil himself.
And here's another argument. He says that he hears laughter erupt. They weren't offended by it. They thought it was hilarious. They laughed about it. I think the sister needs to lighten up a little bit.
It depends on context. Was it like classmates doing a Zoom call for like a college project, or was she, on a Zoom call with the CEO about the Nelson project? There needs to be a little context, but my brother tripped over the cord, but when he shouted out his intentions and what the problem was, it would be a little bit embarrassing. But she needs to lighten up a little bit.
Does it make it worse that he threw the adjective in there, huge? I mean, if he just would have said, or even if he would have calmly explained himself. Well, you see, I had to take an enormous, and I tripped over your cord because you weren't being respectful and you had your cord stretched across the room, But he just.
I had no expectation of that cord being there.
All right. Anybody care to
You
chime
have
in on
blocked the way to my relief.
that?
Yes, we have comments. Gary, asshole for broadcasting the bodily function, just embrace it. And Sabrina with the acronyms YTA and NTA. You're the asshole, not the asshole.
Yes.
So, and that's our acronyms from now on. Sarah, people understand working from home, it's a pandemic. Blank happens. Howard,
But
he's
big
an
ones
asshole.
happen. Or huge ones happen. That's the question.
Things of that nature can negatively impact one's employment.
Yeah, I kind of Howard and I think we're in agreement with the last one with the and we kind of part ways. But if I go back to that, you're right. You're right, Howard. You've made me change my way of thinking.
I was gonna say, yeah, you were arguing professionalism in the last one. And
But the only difference is she wasn't being unprofessional. I mean, that would be the only difference. You can't control the background. But yeah, he should have. I mean, he should have known better. But again, I mean, if you've been there and you have to go think about it. He trips. He could have went ahead and messed himself right there in mid trip. And how do you maintain professionalism when you're flailing and soiling at the same time?
But he's not expected to maintain professionalism because it's not him that's being judged professionally. I don't think it's fair. I would think it would be unfair for her superiors to get upset about that, unless, once again, it was a Zoom call with the CEO about the Nelson project. She should have gone someplace where.
But, yeah, you can almost say it's her fault a little bit because why was she right there during the Zoom meeting? But again, I think the disclaimer, they laughed. Everybody laughed.
All bets are off when the hatch has been breached.
Fire in the hole.
Jim Heron, she might be in her first professional job setting, doesn't want to look bad. Correct.
I don't think she's wrong for being mad. I think that's two different things. Like all of these have been. She's right for being upset and being frustrated, but I still don't think he's the asshole.
Sarah, if it was a super important meeting, she should have went somewhere with a closed door.
Yes. I mean, if I had intestinal distress hit me right now, commerce needed to be conducted in the most urgent, quick ways, and I open my bedroom door and I go flying down the hallway and I am greeted by a cord that I don't expect to be there.
You needed same-day delivery.
I mean, think about it. It's essentially. Think about this. Think about right now. You have to go bad, enormously, as this guy would say, and somebody has set up a damn tripwire right in your path.
Right. I mean,
to be honest with you, it's probably a good thing that's all he yelled.
Probably so.
I mean, they could have heard and seen a lot worse.
Well, fornications, I darn near soiled my breeches.
Okay, Brooks. From Shawshank Redemption. Darn near soiled myself. Miss Wilson, very simply, he wasn't.
Yeah.
NTA.
All right.
Howard, my wife worked from home for 8 years, and every day was a Zoom meeting. She was responsible for, quote, a professional atmosphere, unquote, per her employer.
Yeah, I think that, and I think that for a lot of people that were already working remotely, or who weren't already working remotely, I really, because I know with us, like, doing our lessons and stuff last spring online, it was something, it was something to get used to, and something that when it's just thrown at you. And we don't know enough backstory here to know whether, she had been doing this a while, or this was like the first time she had done it, or something like that. I can't remember.
True story. This year, the first time that we had to do a Google Meet with my entire class, when we had a 3-week shutdown, the very first one I clicked on, the camera started, and there is the I'm looking at the anus of a cat. The camera came on,
that old chestnut,
and it's winking at me through the camera, and I'm like, so I almost had to put in my class rules: please do not put your pet's anus by the camera. I mean.
I was going to send you guys this earlier. If you Google Twinkle Tush, they make a remedy for that. They make a remedy for that. It's a little jewel, like a little tail necklace that hangs on a cat's backside to cover its anus.
It's anus.
It's anus.
I'll send you guys the pictures, but
it's felanus.
The most disturbing picture, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but is one of those hairless cats. A hairless cat's backside looks much more intense than a hairful cat.
A hairful cat.
I don't know why anybody needs a butt bobble on their cat.
Because of what you just said. You just answered that yourself.
How does that not become a mess in the litter box?
You say you asked the same thing. What happens when they defecate?
It becomes a mud flap. A jeweled mud flap. I would be way more disturbed
I can't wait to see
by the ruby of Angkor Wat staring at me encrusted into a cat's butt than the actual cat's butt.
I'm guessing that if a cat hunches down, I'm guessing when it moves its tail, it maybe pushes the jewel away from said.
That sounds like a euphemism. It said my cat's in the litter box pushing a jewel.
I guess what disturbs me more than the appliance itself is whoever had to do the engineering on said appliance.
Hey,
how do we engineer this thing to work?
Eric, I had another. I know we're pushing 2 hours. I had another one to read, but instead of reading it, can you real quick Google Twinkle Tush and maybe show the picture here so we can they can see where. And I hope you find the hairless cat, because that is something.
Twinkle Tush butt jewel.
Says, give your cat's bottom some bling.
Oh, Lord.
Find the hairless cat. You got to show the hairless one.
Be careful Googling that.
Oh, my.
This is just...
Oh, we have devolved greatly here.
See what I mean?
Look at that.
Oh, that's a close up right there. Don't get it. What are the exclamation points for?
Look at the arc of that tail. And it's like, will you get a load of this?
Seriously, you wouldn't put exclamation points just after a cat's anus. Why? What is it saying?
Look at my bling.
Now.
Oh my! Look
There you
at
go,
that.
folks. Right there, Eric. I don't see the chain. What's
Yeah, exactly. How's that being held in place?
what's holding up? What's holding that up?
It's a plug-in cat.
Cats are the proudest animals you will ever see. As the monarchs in the house, royalty shouldn't be seen walking around with naked butts.
Well, tell that to them. They're the ones always showing it.
Hello.
Wow.
My name is Ballerina the Cat. You maybe remember me from such things as waking you up in the middle of the night and showing you my anus. I'm here to sell you reverse mortgages.
Oh my.
Oh.
Wow, that went south. Real quick.
We ain't talking about Mississippi.
A few comments here.
Oh, I bet there are.
And Miss Wilson had said, back to our prior AITA, she said he wasn't, but I think she just wasn't done typing what she said. He wasn't at home when the call started, and she had informed him that she was going to be doing this call, so I'm assuming she's saying, yes, he is an asshole. Sabrina, I think NTA because it was a bodily function. He apologized sincerely right afterwards and then went the extra mile to further pay her back with dinner for embarrassing her and still being upset about it. And Miss Wilson goes on to say he is an a-hole who shouts things like that anyway. Well, I plead the fifth. Howard, bedazzled, as our conversation turns to our cat jewelry. Sabrina laughs, but also
Bedazzled.
Bedazzled,
Movie, right?
Yes. Sarah Brady, wasn't one of your things that crystals make everything better, even a cat's rectum, apparently.
That's true. We had one of your topics a while back was flavor crystals.
She's right. Sarah for the win.
Howard, be careful. Becky will see your search history and you'll have some splaining to do. Correct. Especially when you were talking about hairless, Todd. I could not do that. Sabrina, I feel like cat's pants would sell so much better.
Okay, Sabrina. While we're on this topic, is Sabrina still with us? Can we tell if she's still with us or not?
I don't know.
We need to bring up that graphic of how they would wear pants. Would they wear pants straight across the? You know what I'm talking about? To where both sets of
all
legs were in
fours.
them, or would they wear them where they only cover their back half? We'll end it with that question because that's an important question.
Woo.
Here
I'm
being
sending you guys the hairless cat's twinkle tush.
and for the final question.
Check your phones when you get a chance.
Here's the operative question.
Yes.
How would that cat wear pants?
I like how they got an overweight cat like.
I think it would have to be A because the purpose of pants is to cover the lower half of the body where commerce is conducted. And those front paws are considered arms, not legs.
Yeah.
To me. I mean,
Well, that would only be if the cat's standing on its hind legs, though.
I mean,
If the cat's standing upright, but otherwise the bottom would be B.
We are projecting our humanity on these critters, so it's got to be A.
Eric, click on the one down there that has the cat standing upright and the you had it above it.
Where-
That's giraffes.
where are we
over.
talking?
It's a giraffe to giraffe.
Over. Where you at? You see it? It's like a cat standing upright, and it's kind of it's the third row, far right.
Oh,
There you- there's a. Can you click on it, make it bigger? There's always that meme that has that cat looking over the snow mound and it says, WTF is going on over there or something like this.
Hold on, I gotta switch the tab. He went into a different tab. There.
Well, that's where it
Overalls.
lives. It's
Boy, you talk about something difficult to have a pair of bib overalls you have to unhook and slide your tail out of.
yeah. It's Hillbilly Jim.
Oh goodness.
Oh man, what have we devolved into?
See, that aging is a myth.
All right, yeah, Sabrina was still with us. She says only the back half. She says, I agree with you, Sabrina. I think it's, again, to cover up the area that does the commerce, which is the back half.
That's a great question, Sabrina. Where would a giraffe wear a tie? I say wherever the shirt collar ends. It's true.
Yeah.
So it would depend on whether it was a turtleneck. Maybe it's wearing a dickie, a giraffe dickie.
And these are the types of questions you get answered on the Play It By Ear podcast.
Well, does that violate some kind of cosmic continuum to have a giraffe wearing a turtleneck? That's a lot of animalia in one sentence.
I don't mean to laugh, but I just got to looking at our time up there, and I remember when we did the interview a couple weeks back, which Eric, I don't know if you mentioned or not to our audience that we were going to be doing another interview.
No, I haven't yet.
At some point, but anyway, if you caught in the interview, they said they like to keep their podcast at an hour long. I don't. That would be a fun thing for us to try to keep it at.
Meanwhile, moving on.
Yeah, really. Okay, so as we round this thing out, our audio episode will be released Friday morning on most of the places you can find a podcast. You can find our audio version, video, YouTube, and Twitch. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can interact via email, admin@playitbyearpodcast.com, and those are the ways you can connect. And a few more comments here. The ascot gets held to the same standards according to Sabrina.
I haven't heard ascot in a long time, yeah.
Ascot is definitely a 70s thing, I believe. Jim, age is a number with you guys, and the number is 12. Actually, that may be a bit high.
I was going to say, you...
For God's sake, don't Google Draft Dickie.
Especially hairless Draft Dickie.
All right. For crying out loud, anything else for the good of the order here?
No, let them go. Let them go. They've suffered enough.
Yes. All right. So join us again next week. You'll get the invite on Facebook, and you'll get the probably if you register for the email, you get the invite from a Google Calendar and email as well. So look at our website and sign up for the emails. Todd, take us out.
Peace, guys. Oh, Eric, real quick, before you go.
Yes.
We might want to mention that the schedule may be changing in the next couple weeks.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know how. We haven't talked really about how we're going to plan that, but I will be out of town.
It's vacation season.
Yes, vacation season.
Yeah.
So I will be out of town the next 2 weeks. Obviously, these gentlemen are talented enough to do this without me, and I hope they choose to do that. If not, we'll probably be releasing some sort of greatest hits type thing or something, or I may try to do one from Florida. But either way, we just want to let everyone know that to be looking out for an announcement about a change in the schedule for the next couple weeks.
Yep, keep an eye out on our social media. We will keep you updated.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Play It By Ear podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter at Play It By Ear Pod 2, and our website at anchor.fm/Play It By Ear podcast. Thanks again, and join us next time as we play it by ear.